Hi, breaking the fourth wall for a second. Happy Thanksgiving. Usually we only release an episode every Tuesday, but we have a bonus one this week. It's with an incredible artist named Reggie Becton. At the time of our conversation, he'd been premiering a short film for his recent release called SadBoy Volume 1. He's since released more music and more visual content, but most importantly, I just wanted to give a little thanks because it's Thanksgiving. And this episode with Reggie Becton was the very first one I independently had done for Chef's Choice. And about 8 months ago, Dave O'Connor, my boss and a mentor and a friend who was sitting down with me in this conversation as well, he came to me and asked me if I wanted to start a podcast with Ones to Watch. I had never considered making a podcast or that it would even be something I'm good at because my mind goes blank when I talk to strangers. But the past couple months of producing this podcast have actually changed me as a person. I love talking to people now, and I feel so grateful that I get to just sit down with artists that I admire and get to learn from every week. The only thing I've ever wanted in my life is to be surrounded by music, and this has given me the opportunity to do that in a way I never thought would be possible. So I have a lot of things to be grateful for. I hope you enjoy this conversation, and let me know if there's anything else you want to hear with Chef's Choice. Thanks. Bye. This is Ones to Watch Chef's Choice. I'm Abby, and I'm joined with Reggie Becton.
How's it going?
And Dave.
Good evening.
DOC, known by many.
Indeed.
Indeed. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
I'm doing pretty good. DOC is, my dad's a correctional officer, so I'm thinking of Department of Corrections.
There's a lot of ways you can go with it.
Okay.
A lot of people call him Doc when they first meet him,
Doc.
which is really funny.
Don't want to make this about me, but I could go into my nickname.
So about you.
Progeny for quite some time.
Are you LA based?
I am LA based. I've been here for 7 years.
Okay. Where'd you move from?
I moved from Maryland or Philly. I moved right after college. I went to college at Temple University in Philadelphia.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So then I went home for like a week or two, and then I moved here.
Is it Go Owls? What's
Yeah,
Temple?
Go Owls. Ooh. How'd you know that?
Come on, man.
I didn't even know that, and I grew up right outside of Philly. So.
You rep PG County, though. Isn't that kind of like...
PG County is my stumping ground. That's my home, who made me everything I am today.
There
yeah?
You go.
Yeah.
Was there a big music scene?
Yeah, like PG, we have go-go, then that's like the music out there, and go-go is just like this assortment of genre bending and sounds. So I would like give that to the reason why I'm like super like trying to always cross genres and take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that. But yeah, go-go, you should check it out. It's really good.
Yeah.
Go-go's, what is that, Bobby Bird? Is that Maceo Parker? Who's Go-Go?
Yeah,
Go-go's
tell
like
me
Chuck
about
Brown.
it.
Chuck Brown? Okay.
Chuck Brown. They have go-go bands, so like TCB and Backyard Band. It's a whole experience. I think one of the things also, like hearing go-go music outside of the go-go event or the go-go party is like you have to experience it with the event, with the ambience, with the environment. That makes it all once.
A go-go event or party? What does that look like?
We just call them go-go's. And it's like a party, but it's where bands play. So think about like a rock concert, but instead it's like go-go, and go-go is like this assortment of like rock, but it also is like jazz and funk infused, but also a little hip-hop. It's really like a melting pot of all genres, and then they do covers sometimes. So like you may hear an Adele song there, or you may hear an old song by Marvin Gaye there. So it's like all these things. Then you have these different like genres in go-go. So there's like pockets and like bounce beats. It's a lot.
Beautiful.
That sounds
Really
like an
gotta go to
awesome
the
community.
go-go.
Yeah.
It's a crazy community. Like it's really like the blood of DC, and Maryland's right out. PG's right outside of DC, so you get a little bit up there.
Have you found a community like that in LA yet?
Yeah, I would say like my community of friends are just kind of like my community, and like even the creative I work with. So like we're premiering SadBoy here today, and the creative team that worked, it's like my family. Like we all known each other for years. We've been creating for years together. So when I finally came up with this idea to like do this short film, it was a no-brainer to like take it to the people who I've been working with and say, hey, I have this like not so big budget, but it's bigger than what we normally have, but I have an even bigger idea now. So how do we fit that in? And they were up for the game. So I'm super excited about the product that we have.
That sounds like a segue right there.
I was going to say, so all of the friends that like play your friends in this short film, are they actually your friends?
Everyone in this short film is my friend. My group of friends, literally everyone I can say is my friend. Even the leading lady in the film, L'Oreal, she's even my friend. So
That was a good casting. I enjoyed that scene.
Thank you. I enjoyed that scene as well.
Okay, so walk us through this short film. How did you decide to turn the album into this sort of like episodic cinematic experience rather than just like a music video for one song?
Yeah, it was kind of like this because I kind of got bored just making music a bit. So I was working on this next iteration or next project or something. And I'm a big like film buff and cinematography, and I love television production. That's why I studied in college.
Yeah.
And then music licensing started to become this super huge thing. So I was like, I'm not able, I keep pitching my songs for licensing, but nothing's happening. But everyone loves when they hear these songs and licensing, like, Insecure. And you think of like how Lizzo went viral from that Netflix film. It's like, so I saw those things. I'm like, maybe people are looking for more like mood or environment music. And I thought to myself, like, if I create these scenes of life or this story that kind of allows me to place my music in these moods and these environments, it kind of will tell people like when to listen to my music or how to listen to it. So that was like the first step of like, okay, that's what I want to do. So then I had that idea. So then I started making songs to kind of like fit different vibes of that. So then we started to like storyboard, and at first I wanted this like grand idea of like it's sci-fi, and I had all these things like it needs to be a little sci-fi, and I was like looking at films. Like I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan, so like Kill Bill is like one of my all-time favorite. So I studied that a lot. I studied The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan, like all those things. I was like, okay, how can I tell a story this cool, but with like 1% of that budget? And we had to keep the ideas minimum, and we kind of just wanted to tell the basic story of like boy meets girl and what happens next. But I think the way we do it and how simple and minimal it is, it feels good and true to its feeling.
Did you write the songs with like scenes in mind already, or did it kind of...
No, I kind of like just wrote the songs with like the feelings in mind. Cause that was another piece on it. Like I feel like great songs in sync or like great songs that shows, they just match the feeling of whatever scene it is. So I kind of matched the feelings of the song. And then once we had like a rough number of songs, I started to say, okay, like here's 12 songs that I'm thinking about. How can we make a story out of these 12 songs? And some songs got cut, and then some songs stayed. And then we're like, no, let's pull this song back. So that kind of was like how we storyboarded.
Yeah. I was invested. When I watched it, I was like, who's Gia? Sit me down. Tell me the drama about her.
Yeah, who's Gia? We all have a Gia in our life.
Do you have a Gia in your life? Is this based on a true story?
I wouldn't say it's based on a true story, but it's inspired by true events.
For sure. That's a political way to put that.
Diplomatic.
Gia's listening like,
Right.
I hope Gia's listening. Why so sad?
Yeah, I don't know. I have yet to find the answer to that, but I'm working on it. I'm reading a lot of books these days. Yeah. I'm getting outside and touching a lot more grass. But yeah, well, I don't know why so sad. Maybe we'll figure out on volume 2.
There we go.
What's the complexities of the SadBoy era though? Was it just like a general sort of depressed era, or? It's
kind of like I'm starting to realize that with each project I make, I'm kind of thinking that these songs are like past experiences, and then I release the songs in the world, and then I start to experience what I was talking about in the song. So I'm like, maybe I'm manifesting all these things, but like recording SadBoy, I had some of like the greatest experiences in my life with like making music. It was really a fun project to make. And then I released it, and automatically it was just like sadness, like sadness just crept in. Yeah. And I started to live out some of those experiences, and I'm like, maybe I'll think twice again before, like calling a project SadBoy. But I know when I was making it, my point was to get across is that like sadness is an emotion, just like happy, just like any other emotions. And like I think oftentimes we run from like sadness or anger, and I'm all about like trying to get people to like confront their emotions, just deal with them. They're just emotions. Just objects in our mind, we feel them and then we just let them go. So that's kind of what I wanted. Yeah, exactly. When you make a story, when you sit with it, that's when it takes over.
So this is SadBoy Volume 1.
This is only Volume 1.
And that was a fun one to write.
Yeah.
With SadBoy Volume 2, the song's written about the actual sad era that happened?
Yeah, I would say that's where we're at now. So,
is this a constant cycle?
I think it'll sound... I feel like anytime, like when I'm going through, I just released it. So I think it'll sound like I'm super hopeful person. So if things are going well, then I'm like hoping for the bad, and I'm writing from this like, oh, this is probably gonna mess up. And then right now things are bad, so I'm gonna write from probably a hopeful thing, like, oh, but they get better, and when they get better, they'll feel like this and they'll feel like that. So that's kind of how like the music is sounding a bit, but it's still sad.
Overall, sad.
Right.
But we've got a positive outlook.
Like, yeah, exactly. I'm still smiling through it.
Yeah, I can tell.
I'm glad you're not manifesting more than you need to be.
Okay.
It sounds difficult. Deep diving into the project, because that's why you're here. So you mentioned, your interest in film and TV. You mentioned some great directors that I think everyone probably recognizes as super influential. You mentioned that you involved basically all your friend group, your LA posse. So when you guys were storyboarding this, recognizing, okay, sci-fi's expensive, difficult to do, especially on small budgets, you had this sort of like template of songs that can kind of like direct and narrate the plot, but obviously you had to approach it visually. So how did you guys go about creating, the part 1 through part 4, 5?
Yeah, we really just sat down and like, I think that's the great thing about working with my director, Chris. He's all about like just cinematography and just creating the most beautiful moments and the most simple but like just gut-wrenching moments. And I think that's something where we just sat down, we storyboarded, we talked about film, we talked about TV a lot. We shared a lot of like what we love about film, what we don't like about it. I want sci-fi, well, I want it to be like this. We talked about our different favorite films, and from there we just kind of like got inspired, and we pulled frames and compositions from different films and different shows, and we kind of like storyboard started to like, it was weird because before we wrote a script, before we really even had the story idea, we had a storyboard. And it was just like all these beautiful shots and these beautiful formation, these layouts, and just where we were like, we may not have the biggest budget, but we're going to create something that is just out of this world beautiful from a film and cinematography standpoint. So there was lighting, there was different things like reflection shots, and we want this to be a close-up. Like it was all these things, and they kind of just storyboarded. And then after the storyboard part of it, we took it to our friend Ladarian, who is LD, and we told him some of the ideas we were having. We told him like, hey, this is what it having, this is like the character's name, and he just took it and kind of ran with it, and he just kind of made this story that we were just all like, this is exactly what it needs to be. This is perfect. So what Chris and Ladarian did, it was just amazing. It was just easy. They made it so easy for me to be able to create something like this.
What were some of your, reference films? Oh
my God. There were so many. Nacho Libre was one of them, randomly. Atlanta was a show that we looked to. Hustle and Flow was something that we looked to. It was so many random ones. Boogie Nights was something. Reservoir Dogs. That first episode is like a homage to that beginning scene in Reservoir Dogs. A lot of Tarantino films we looked at, and there's just like a lot of cool Easter eggs in there as well, just like from the names of the characters and everything. So it's cool.
For the audience, I just wanted to mention, so directed by Christopher Felix and written by Ladarian Smith, LD Smith, just so everyone can look up their work.
Great people, great individuals.
Yeah, credit to them. Beautiful work. When you were budgeting this, I think this is like a real talk kind of moment. How do you make those hard choices? I think great art is often up against the wall of financing. I think that's just the world we live in. Creatives don't get paid like tech. That's just not how it works.
I wish we did.
Yeah, so do I. How do you make those choices? How do you make the choice between a great creative idea and something that's realistically plausible with money?
I think it's all about staying flexible, and I think it's all about knowing that like you have a great idea, then that doesn't mean it's for this idea. So there's a lot of great ideas that we came to the table with and we really wanted to accomplish, but it just wasn't where we were at financially or professionally. Like maybe 2 years down the line, that can be in my first feature film I like direct or create, or a TV show. So it's kind of like my mom always tell me about like necessities versus accessories. So it's kind of that thing where like, is this a necessity or is this an accessory? And then it also was just like, getting creative. Okay, I want to make rain. I want it to rain. Okay, how do we make rain at an affordable budget? Right. Okay, maybe we can't get a rain machine. but we could make our own, and we may have to do more work as far as moving it and more shots of it, and wedding things, but we can get that effect. So it's just like also staying creative. And I think it's also just like everyone on the team being open, because I would say like from the production team, Thomas, to Nick, who executive producer on the project, to all the actors, to Ladarian, everyone stayed open to like what I wanted and the vision I had, and they tried their darnest to make everything come to life in some way or some fashion. So it was just cool to see, like, and there were times where they were like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, well, no, we have to do that.
Necessity.
That's a necessity accessory.
Right.
But yeah, so that was part of it. And I think as far as like budget breakdown, that's where Thomas really, he produced it, and he really just came through with like making deals with production companies, Maz and Ryan, who helped like us like make deals with a lot of the clothes and the fashion brands that the different acts are wearing. My friends, they acted for free, so that saved us so much money. You know what I mean? With Chris being a director and Thomas working in the film, they have a lot of friends that like, signed on for the project. I think another smart thing was there. We shot it in the first 2 weeks of January, and it was a new year, so everybody like doesn't have that job yet. So everybody like, okay, this is just going to kick off the year for me.
Strategic.
So I'll take that a little pay cut, but I'll get started my year fast. And normally I'm probably not booked in the first 2 weeks of the new year, so I think that helped. And we kind of just looked at it. Although it was one short film, we kind of was like, okay, we want 7 episodes. So we looked at it as like 7 music videos, and how can we figure that out?
Yeah, that's true hustle, really, like not getting exhausted in the face of like
it's a lot,
all those creative problems. Yeah,
it's a lot. It is truly a lot. And I still work a 9 to 5, so that also allows me to like, okay, like where we lacking the budget, I can invest in own and just give it a little bit more to get those small little things tidied up.
Respect that.
You said that like the ideas that had to be cut might get put later in your feature film that you direct or produce. Is that something that you would want to do down the line?
Yeah, that's like super something I want to do. I definitely want to direct a feature film one of these days. I was having a conversation with my friend Nick, who like executive producer, and he's an Oscar winner too. So he worked on the project.
Shout out Nick.
Yeah, he's a great. But we were talking about films and just talking about the Oscars and like how you have the original motion picture and then you like best film, and how like if you want original you got to write it too. So I'm like, I got to get my writing chops up because I want to write and direct it and win that. But so I'm like working on that. I got to get that there.
Well, you're on your way.
Yeah, truly.
Thank you.
Wanted to dive into sort of like just each piece quickly. Okay. Like I said, I mean, I think you guys did an amazing job sort of setting the scene. Love some of the homages we've already mentioned, but I love the way you sort of introduce the characters. So like you were saying, the Reservoir Dog reference, the sort of circling the table.
Yes.
Part of the episode 1, SadBoy. What were you trying to do there? Was that just sort of like establishing sort of the friend group and everything, the dynamics that are going on?
Exactly. Like that's exactly what I wanted to do. I felt like, like I wanted to establish SadBoy, but I also wanted to establish his friends. And I also wanted to do it in a way, to me, as like, I didn't want the script to tell you who they were. So I wanted you to pick up on who they were, which is like some of the things they were doing, the food they were eating, because that's what Tarantino does. Like you learn so much about the characters in his film by the way they eat something or what they choose to eat. So that's why all of that is like kind of there. You have them. I know me and my friends, we get together and there's like 7 conversations going on at once. So we wanted to like represent that and show you how close they were, but also, get to the point and introduce that love story of you have SadBoy and everyone wants to know why he's so sad.
Right, but like you learn so much about your character by the way your friends give you shit for eating a wet burrito at 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
More than like the shit about Gia.
Right.
And then like you leave and they continue to like tease each other.
And they don't even.
Yeah.
Friends they are.
It felt like a sitcom. Like I was getting to know the side characters that aren't actually really side characters. Like they have as much to do with your story and what you're telling.
I love that. I'm glad you picked up on that. And like I wanted to introduce them and like, give them their due, but also like I didn't want to introduce them as they were new people. I just wanted you to pick up on this friend group, and what you learn from these people is what you learn. And somewhere down the line, you'll learn more and more about them as you learn more about SadBoy. So that was cool.
Right.
And the wet burrito. I don't like wet burritos in real life, so even shooting that was just such a like, oh my god, this is the worst thing. But Megan, who's my manager, she loves wet burritos, and one day she took me to the spot like, oh my god, this is the best LA spot, and you got to get a wet burrito. And I get it, and I didn't understand what a wet burrito was, so I get it, and I'm like excited to eat it because she has hyped it up so much, and I get it, and it's like a burrito drowned in sauce. And I'm like, what is this?
It's a wet burrito.
And I'm like, wet burrito. So
wait, so that spot is the one that she took you to?
No, we went to Lucy's.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever. I hear that's
the
LA spot. We went to Lucy's.
Shout out Megan, the manager.
Shout out Megan. Shout out Lucy's.
Clearly a fan of heartburn. Episode 2. So I wrote down just as a note, like heist to house party. You don't normally kind of transition like that.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Oh my God, that's something I fought so hard for. That was just one of the ones where like I'm all about like unconventional storytelling. And when me and Chris was working on it, he was just like, no, I just don't think people are going to understand it. I'm like, please, they're going to understand it. It's this metaphor for love and like how love is a code, and love breaks down when the code is not being honored.
Yeah.
And like to me, like one of the things you can do where you trust someone is like do a crime with them, you know? So I wanted to showcase it that, but then I wanted to like make the reveal of it being this Halloween party to make it all make sense, and that this was their relationship in a nutshell. So I enjoy that so much.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool way of storytelling. It's a standout episode for me. And I had a great time shooting that episode. We got to run around and pretend we was robbing a bank.
I saw that. I also love the entry to the house party where you're like, is this more drama? And you're like, nah, it's more of your friends just riffing with you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. More of them being friends.
That line where you said something about there's a hole in my heart, Gia.
Yes.
I was like, a bullet, of course, because there's blood on your chest.
Exactly.
It's like, oh no, it's an emotional hole in your heart. It was so good. That was the moment where it clicked for me. Like, this is cinematography as well as like a musical work.
No, and everyone who's we showing for, we're always nervous. Like, are they gonna get it? We're secretly like sitting on chairs like hoping, and everyone gets it. Everyone's like, oh my God, that was so clever, that was so creative. So I'm happy, like stuck to the guns on that one, and that one came out the way it did.
Yeah.
Shout out Netta, who plays Gia, who I went to high school with. She's
really?
Yeah, we went to high school, and she lives out here now. She's an actress.
That's great.
So I really dug deep in my friend bag here for this.
We're sensing that.
Yeah, good friends too.
Good
really.
friends.
Take us to streets. So like that's kind of, it feels like a transition episode. Obviously, you're literally moving the party. So
yeah,
what was the sort of origins of that plot design?
That episode kind of goes back to like big idea versus staying flexible. So for that idea, we had this whole concept of like this packed club. We wanted it to be like the best club in America. Like, you're just excited, like you can feel the energy off the walls, like everyone's there. And we didn't have a big budget like to pay for extras. So day of the shoot, the morning of, Thomas calls us. He's like, yeah, like we don't have that many extras coming. And me and Chris are just like, so Chris starts like losing it, and Chris is like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I think I saw like a Big Sean clip or something that morning that just was him talking about, like dealing with like unexpected things. And it's just the opportunity to get creative and, staying flexible. So when I got on set, Chris is like nervous to tell me. And I'm like, Chris, don't worry. Everything, I saw Big Sean, he told me
I saw
everything, the way it's supposed to be is the way it's going to be,
Yeah.
And I'm so happy the way that episode came out. Like, I think it's just perfect for like the jokes that land there. Like, we didn't have any script for that episode, so all the actors, they like improvised that whole episode. Shout out Victor, who plays Bunk, I believe. Yes, he plays Bunk. He does an amazing job the whole episode of just like wrangling the friend group together and getting us to think we're going to have a good time. And then Leo joins us, who is a great comedian in his own right, and their back and forth banter was just great. So I was super happy with how that episode came out. I love the way the club space looks. It's just amazing. I like that episode a lot.
I would have never known that wasn't intentional.
It was not intentional.
I love that too, because like unfortunately, I think as a younger man, I remember going to a lot of clubs thinking this is going to be the place, and then walking into an empty.
Yeah.
You walk into it and it's just like, oh my God, why?
But it's still fun because you're with your boys and
exactly.
You do you.
Right, and then you end up at Sway with this beautiful lady.
The moment when you meet someone and you have to decide, do I want to take a chance on love, or do I want to play it cool?
Well, after watching episode 4, Sway, I would say yes. But
Yes.
that's the seduction, right?
That's the seduction. But yeah, no, episode 4, we got to have, we got to incorporate some choreography. Shout out Cherry, who choreographed everything. And, that was fun, learning some dance moves and getting to dance again. And also, like, we have a music video for Sway, so it was cool to, like, see a new interpretation of what could be a music video for this song. So that was another cool thing to do, to be like, okay, how do we reimagine now this from a visual standpoint? And dancing in front of a room full of people is not very fun.
No, you didn't enjoy that?
No, and it's also, like, this intimate dance. So normally, in rehearsals, it was just us two, so we got to, like, just have fun. That it was the camera people, the lighting people,
all your closest
extras, friends, and you're just like, oh my god. At one point, I'm telling Chris, like, can we have a closed set for this? Like, and he's like, well, we really can't do nothing. We don't even have anywhere for anyone to go as a closed set. Budget, go back to budget. So I'm like, all right. And L'Oreal, she was a trooper, and we just made it happen.
Well, it looks great. I couldn't tell if you felt awkward. Are you a dancer typically, or? I
mean, I'm starting to dance more in my career now. Okay. Shout out Cherry, because she's been helping me a lot, and Keenan also, my choreographer. He's been helping me a lot. But you slowly but surely incorporating those things. I used to dance a lot as a kid, so I want to bring some of that back into the Reggie Becton fold.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I love some of the pickup shots, just like, the hand around the neck. There was just those kind of moments that kind of...
The B-roll.
Yeah. The genius of Chris Felix. He loves those intimate close-ups, and I think it just gives you that tightness. It makes you feel something. So
yeah, I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
So where does this go? What's
you guys haven't seen episode 5?
We have not.
Oh wow. Okay, so episode 5, it gets interesting. You definitely did. You see the end of episode 4?
We did.
We watched the whole.
There is some.
There's a hint of something.
There's a new character there that we introduced. So in episode 5, we'll see it tonight at the panel.
Okay.
But episode 5 is I like episode 5. It's where we see some acting happen.
Okay. Big tease.
So will there be this sort of short film created for volume 2 of SadBoy as well?
I don't know if they'll give me the budget again. So if they give me the budget again to make it, then yes. I have an idea of where I want to take volume 2.
Same world?
Same world.
Okay.
I think we just should learn more about the friend group. So I'll just say that. I think we should just learn more about SadBoy and his friends. It's easy for people to give you advice on your love life, and then you start to deep dive in theirs.
Yeah.
And you see that they're not taking their own advice. So I think that may be something we should explore for season 2.
All right. I'm excited for it. Well, as we wrap this up, we have an essential question for you always. You've plugged a lot of your friends.
Okay.
You have an amazing community, by the way.
They're great. I could not do any of this without them. So, and then my managers, Edgar and Megan, are super phenomenal people and beings that hold me down in every shape or form. So thank you to them.
Well, you have a very graceful community energy. It's really lovely to be around.
I tell people all the time, I don't know why, God blesses me with all these great people, but he does. And I'm super thankful and grateful for it.
Well, I want to know who your ones to watch are. Who should we be listening to?
We love that question.
Okay. Who's on my ones to watch list? Okay, so there's this London singer. His name is Tendai. Tendai. He's phenomenal. I'm really big on him right now. He just creating R&B in this phenomenal space. Let's see who else. My friend Shot Infinite. He's an amazing rapper, singer. He's working on a project, and he just released a mixtape. He took it back, and it's a phenomenal project. It's about 10 to 12 songs, and it's really good. Let me think who else I'm listening to.
You're going to have to deep dive. Top of the Dome was perfect.
So. Okay, cool. We'll leave it at them, too.
Come to mind.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah. Any lasting questions, Dave?
No, just, good people attract good people, and I think you're evidence of that. So
thank you.
Continued success.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you all for always, supporting. From the beginning, with the California album. Thank you for listening. You guys did it right up on that. So it's just the last 3 projects has just been this progression of you guys watching. So I appreciate it.
Thanks for putting out good music. You make our job easy.
Yeah. Excited to see episode 5. Check it out on YouTube. Will it be available?
It will be available on YouTube. I'm not sure when it drops in completely, but it will come out week to week to week. So maybe towards the end of September.
Hopefully out by the time this comes out, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. At least the first episode will be first 1 or 2.
Great.
Awesome. Well, once again, this is Ones to Watch Chef's Choice, joined by Reggie Becton.
Thank
you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
Right. Bye.